welcome back to the From a Certain Point of View podcast. This is Josh, one half of From a Certain Point of View, and Adam is away right now. He's currently, in Orlando enjoying Disney World and Galaxy's Edge probably at some point, who knows. So it's just me today, but I'm going to be breaking down and reviewing the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6. And I just want to say right off the top here that this is going to be filled with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the episode, make sure you go back right now, watch it, then come back and watch this review and breakdown. So I just want to give some of my overall thoughts, first of all, which is what we usually do with our reviews. And I was blown away. I mean, I think this is the Star Wars that I've been looking for. In Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, I trust. These past two episodes have been great. And while it hasn't specifically been all about Boba Fett, and this is a series called The Book of Boba Fett, and I know there are some complaints out there about that. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, the fact that Boba Fett only makes a cameo in his own episode this week and wasn't really in the last episode at all is, that can be debated. But I love that this is an intertwined story in the Filoni Favreauverse, whatever you want to call it, which I'm excited about. This is what I've been wanting to see, is a connected Star Wars universe, similar in a way to Marvel, but also different and absolutely standing on its own, which I think this is. So my overall thoughts were I loved it. I felt like it was just Star Wars at its peak right now, and but I want to get into some things and break some things down here. So let's take a look at and just go kind of. I'm going to go through some of these images here and go through some of the things that stood out to me. The episode pretty much opens with Cobb Vanth and the Pike Syndicate trying to run spice through Mos Pelgo, or I think that's how you say it. I could be wrong. Mos Pelgo, something like that. Which Cobb Vanth, of course, is the marshal of, and he's not having it. He's like, really, you need to think this through. He's not wanting to see that push through here. So, this definitely has some kind of Western vibes to it, this episode, which was cool. And it was cool to see Cobb Vanth again. And, we weren't sure when we were going to see him again. I like that he appeared here. It makes sense. He's on Tatooine. And so I really like that opening with him and seeing him. And then there was a question last week on our show where Adam and I were discussing, are we going to see on screen Mando going to visit Grogu, and are we going to see Luke training Grogu? And I didn't know if that was going to happen off screen, if they were saving that. But then Adam and I both discussed, that would be a complete missed opportunity if they didn't. So we do end up going and seeing, where Luke is training Grogu. And I'm not sure what the name of this planet is. I don't know if that was revealed in the Rise of Kylo Ren kind of comic series there. I don't know where we saw Luke training the Jedi at that temple that is being built right now. So it was really cool to see Mando visit this place, and we're seeing the temple being built, and we learn that Grogu could be Luke's first student, which is just awesome. And, of course, we know ultimately what's going to happen to this temple with Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, that whole situation with the Knights of Ren. But I think it's great to see this. I have been clamoring and begging to see like a Luke Skywalker Jedi Academy type show, or with his Jedi Temple. I think we could see that. I think Luke, let's talk about the way Luke looks in this episode compared to when we saw him last at the end of Mandalorian season 2. Clearly they had to have hired this deep fake, the YouTube deep fake dude who did it so much better. I'm thinking they probably hired that guy, and Luke's appearance is so much better here and so much more convincing. Aside from a few very slight things with like mouth movements and the way he talks sometimes, like I thought it was so convincing. Like I was impressed. This is some of the best de-aging I've seen, if not the best. And I think you could you could have him be in a series if you wanted to. So my wish about that might come true. We'll see. But it was great seeing the beginnings of that here, and seeing Grogu again, and seeing Mando, um, and seeing Ahsoka again, and Ahsoka's connection with Luke, saying she's kind of a friend of the family, and comparing Luke to to his father, Anakin. That was a cool moment. And Mando had to make a really tough choice here, and Ahsoka kind of questions, are you here for Grogu, or are you here for yourself? And I think the obvious answer to that is Mando's here for himself because he misses Grogu and he wants to see him. But the Jedi way is not to have attachments. So Mando could be a big distraction to Grogu's training, and he decides to leave the gift um, with Ahsoka to give. And we'll get back to that when we talk about the end of the episode, and Grogu's choice ultimately. So we get to spend all this great time with Luke and Grogu, though, and Ahsoka. Um, I mentioned Ahsoka's conversation with Luke, and the fact that let me see if I can find it here. Yeah. So this shot right here, the fact that Luke was carrying Grogu around on his back and a backpack type of thing, just like he did with Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back, was awesome. I mean, this time Grogu's the learner and Luke is the master, instead of Yoda being the master and Luke being the learner. So it was really cool to see him in that role training. It was just awesome, awesome Star Wars stuff. And I also loved how the way Luke was kind of carrying Grogu with the Force when they were on their walk, and we got this flashback. Luke wants to know if Grogu remembers somebody talking like Yoda, somebody talking backwards like Yoda does, or talking in riddles. And he enables Grogu to have this flashback, but it doesn't show Grogu's homeworld. Instead, it shows um, Order 66 in the Jedi Temple, and how that whole thing went down. And that, of course, is a very dark memory for him. So again, we get all this great time with Luke and with Grogu, and training and everything, which I thought was great. And Adam asked last week, well, how long do we think this is going to take? If assuming we do see Grogu, we see Luke training him, how much of the episode is that going to take up? Because we already spent a whole last episode without Boba Fett, and I was like, well, I would think that would take up like half of the episode. And that's pretty much what happened here. It took up about half of the episode, and then we get back to the Book of Boba Fett stuff, and Mando, after he decides to leave the planet where Grogu is, he goes back to Tatooine, and meets up with Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. And this is where we get our kind of cameo of Boba Fett in his own show. We get a brief look at that, and Fennec Shand believing that the Pike Syndicate is getting ready to strike, because the mayor has left the planet, which was very convenient. And so now they're like, okay, we're going to need foot soldiers. Amanda's like, I might be able to help with that. So he goes back to Cobb Vanth and kind of buys him a drink, pleads with him, we need your help. We need foot soldiers. And he kind of challenges him a little bit, like says, I didn't know you to be somebody who, wouldn't step up against a bully, in so many words. And so basically we're left with, he's going to think about it, I guess. But after that, we get the introduction of a character that fans have been asking for from the Clone Wars, and he was in the Bad Batch as well, Cad Bane. And wow, what an introduction to this character. The way that he walked onto the scene was so Western. It was so cool, so badass. And this character in live action is really impressive. I think they've done such a great job of bringing these characters from animation into live action, and this is just another example of that. So we get this very much Western showdown between Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. Cad Bane saying, hey, don't mess with the Pikes, basically. Let them run their spice through here. Let them go about their business, and we won't have any problems. But then the new guy, the new guy in what is now called Freetown, kind of steps up and stands up to Cad Bane, which was a mistake. And then, of course, a duel ensues and he gets shot, and uh, Cobb Vanth gets shot in the shoulder. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll survive this and everything, and we'll see him again. But what an introduction to that character. I loved it. I thought it was great. I know there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there that were probably very happy to see that character. Um, and then we get what might be, where we almost lost Cobb Vanth. Maybe, I don't think we really lost him, but then we come to, I think this is, I forget what her character's name is. Jennifer Beals, I believe, is the actress's name. So we're back in her establishment, her place, and we see the Pike Syndicate really starting to move, and make their move and their attacks on Mos Espa, and they plant a bomb in there basically, and so we're kind of left with that, and we're assuming she's gone, and she didn't survive that. And then ultimately, so all these pieces are moving, and then we come back to Luke and Grogu, and Luke presents him with a choice. He presents him with, okay, I will bequeath Yoda's lightsaber to you, which was cool seeing again. Um, or you can choose the chainmail, the armor that the Mandalorian left to you. But if you choose the armor, that means that you abandon the Jedi way, and you go back with the Mandalorian. But if you choose the lightsaber, then you choose the way of the Jedi. And again, it all comes back to the attachment to Mando, and how he has to show that he's not gonna rely on that attachment. So this is a test for Grogu, and I'm interested to see what he will choose. I hope we see it in the finale, what his choice is. But I didn't really think we were going to get so much already with Luke and Grogu and Mando. And this is kind of Mando season 2.5, and it's leading up to season 3. Like, all this stuff could have happened in season 3 of Mando. But they chose to put it in here. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I think they have a plan, and I trust the plan and the way they're weaving it. But I'm going to be very excited to see season 3 of The Mandalorian, and where this goes, and how much more of Luke do we see? What is Grogu's choice going to be? So yeah, I think I like how that choice was presented. And there was an idea actually on the Resistance broadcast, where they do the Mando fan show. Like, what if he chooses the lightsaber, which would be the right choice, the Jedi way and everything, but then Luke allows him to also have the armor because he chose correctly, and maybe that was a test or something like that. So that could be interesting if that happens. But yeah, he's left with that choice, and roll credits. We don't get to see what that choice is. So I guess my predictions going into the last episode, we're going to see some kind of confrontation, some kind of battle, between the Pike Syndicate and Boba Fett and his allies. Obviously, Cad Bane is going to be involved on the other side, and we have Mando on Boba's side, the Rancor. Maybe we'll get to see Boba riding that thing around. I don't know if maybe we'll get Cobb Vanth and his people were really probably invested now that Cad Bane shot him. So maybe we can see them joining forces with Mando and Boba. And I'd love to see some Boba Fett action. I'd love to see him with a jetpack, with his blaster rifle, and taking out some people, maybe going up against Cad Bane. That could be cool. And are we going to see that appearance of Han Solo in this in some form? Or are we going to see Crimson Dawn? Or is the focus just going to stay on the Pike Syndicate? So I'm really excited about this finale. I just want more and more. And ever since we got these last couple episodes, like, I'm so excited to be a Star Wars fan. This is a great time. And, those are my thoughts. If I were to give this a score, I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. I mean, last week's was a 9.5. This week's, it has to be a 10. This is what I want from Star Wars. This is a perfect Star Wars episode, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? I want to know what your thoughts are on the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6. What predictions do you have about Chapter 7? Let me know in the comments section, and stay tuned to From a Certain Point of View for your news, reviews, and points of view.